The buzz about Will Hughes first took hold when Derby stunned Arsenal in the FA Youth Cup. Everyone wanted to know about the 16-year-old number 8 with a shock of white hair and a wonderful left foot. According to local legend, Liam Brady, midfield maestro turned academy boss at the North London club, left Barnet's Underhill Stadium that night wondering if he had glimpsed the next Liam Brady. Everyone expected Arsenal to cruise through, said Hughes, recalling that game in December 2011. They were a bit shocked when we turned up and rolled them over. The whole team played well, but that's when I was starting to break into the first team, and from then on people started to talk. Things get exaggerated in this game. People believe what they want to believe. Different agents swept in, offering to make him rich, and newspaper gossip columns feasted on the interest from Arsenal and Liverpool, even Barcelona. When their scouts saw him playing for England in the Algarve tournament, Hughes stayed put and completed his A-levels and eventually left Derby for Watford last summer, having made 187 senior appearances for his hometown club. At 22, the wonderkid hype had abated, the step in class was made without fuss, and he is well placed to share advice with the next generation. I see why it affects young players, said Hughes. You were promised the world at 16 and 17. Mainly by agents, a big move to a big club on all sorts of money. A lot of young players can fall for that. You can get sucked in and believe it. You're 16 or 17, you're on £500 a week and you're getting promised 10 or 15 grand. You're going to think about it. I was promised money, not only me but my mum as well. If I went with certain agents, they all promise you they have your best interests at heart, but it isn't always the case. They'll move you for big money and not talk to you again. Some players jump ship, and when they're 22 or 23, they've played 4 first-team games, they don't get a new contract, and then they're back at square one. You try taking 10 steps before you're ready to take one, and it can hurt your career. There was good sense and advice close at hand, including from Nigel Clough, then manager at Derby, who offered the sort of no-frills wisdom to evoke the memories of his father's voice. He asked me if I wanted to be a footballer, and I said, yes, and he said, well, concentrate on football then, smiled Hughes. It gets lost in the modern world. I've got lots to thank him for. If you want money, that will come if you focus on your football. Nowadays more players think the other way round. They think they'll get the money, and if something happens, it happens. Some make it, some don't. That's their loss. I'm 100% sure I made the right decision. To play nearly 200 games for the club where I grew up was absolutely the right choice. You don't want to be sitting on the bench with the under-23s. You want to be playing football in front of crowds. Last month for Watford, Hughes savoured the roar of Anfield for the first time. He supported Liverpool as a boy, selecting Neil Mellor's winner against Arsenal in November 2004 as his fondest memory, although the joy of finally playing in front of the Kop was offset by a 5-0 defeat. They were always my number 1 team, but I was never close to joining them or anyone, said Hughes. People were putting 2 and 2 together. I've been used to it since I was 16. When I broke onto the scene, everyone was linking me with every club under the sun. The more people spoke about it, the less I believed it. I was happy at Derby. I was there since I was 12, and it was a massive day when I made my debut for them. Leaving Pride Park was a wrench, but it felt like the right time last summer as Gary Rowett tried to put his own stamp on the team and Watford offered £8 million. It would have been nice to go up with Derby, said Hughes. I genuinely thought we were going to do it. We were always nearly there. Then it was maybe next year. The new manager came in and I'm not sure I was his sort of player, which is fair enough. He's entitled to his opinion of how he wants to play. I felt at that point it's my time to go. His ability to find space and pick passes helped him flourish once he broke into Marco Silva's team at Watford. He scored twice and seemed a perfect fit for the Premier League. Goals have been a topic of conversation for my last 5 years as a footballer, said Hughes. How can we score more goals? When I was younger I was a bit naive, hanging outside the box trying to pick passes and create things. I wasn't doing it consciously. I just wanted to get on the ball. But I've learned, especially with Marco, about making the right movements and not ball watching. You start to see what people mean about a striker's instinct. It sounds simple, but it's a skill. They're not just in that position by chance, they're thinking ahead. A hamstring injury in November halted his progress and Silva had been sacked by the time Hughes was fit again, but new manager Javi Gracia has been equally impressed by the technical qualities. He's more like a typical Spanish player, said Gracia, who is preparing his team to visit Tottenham on Monday. Hughes, educated on a scholarship at Repton School, has a bright mind and a desire to improve. He also has the competitive experience of 5 years scrapping for points in the Championship. With midfield options thin on the ground, England boss Gareth Southgate, having worked closely with Hughes during his time as under-21 manager, is watching closely. If that ever came about, it would be unbelievable, said Hughes. But save the hype. He doesn't believe it anymore.